Okay, now I'm going to break the solo down for you into 10 separate licks. Once again, we're playing this slow blues in the key of D, and lick 1 sounds like this. Okay, so that is lick number 1, and it is coming in right before we're entering the 5 chord. So this is the little cursor to builds up the solo to the next 12 bars. We're starting this solo out on the 5 chord before it kicks. So we're kind of just starting the solo, not directly on the first 12 bars, but on the 5 chord before the next 12 bars kicks in. So we're right here on the 1 chord, and we're about to go to the A chord, the 5 chord, and on the 11th count, we're going to go here to the 16th and 15th fret, 16th fret on the G string, and 15th fret of the B string. B.B. King position in the key of D, you know, this thing. All that stuff right there. So this little position. And so we're going to start right here on the 16th fret, G string, 2nd finger. On the 11th count, about 11 and we're going to go 16, 15, 16 back and forth. Always know that 15th fret of your B string, that's our root note. The key that we're in, that's a D note. So we got this. And now right when the 5 chord hits the A chord, we're going to bend the 17th fret of the B string. We're going to bend that up to 3 frets here. So this note right here over that 5 chord. That's kind of a little melody that sounds great. And you'll hear Peter Green do this stuff a lot, as well as B.B. King and numerous other blues guitar players, bending right in the B.B. King position. The 17th fret is putting your 3rd finger, bending it up 3 frets, and then bending it again, only 2 frets. So that gives us the 4th interval and then the major 3rd over and over again. Makes for a nice little melody, I think. And so you have to get those bends perfect. They're coming in on the 1, 2, 3, 4. So the 1st count and the 4th count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the 6th count, we're doing this little phrase. And I'm doing some heavy vibrato, 15th fret on the 2nd time I hit it, and cutting it off on the 16th fret. So this is kind of like also a call and response lick. This is my call. You can hear it trying, it sounds like it's almost asking a question. We're ending on that 16th fret here, and it's not really a root note that we're ending on, so it's more like a note that, to me, it asks more of a question to be answered instead of answering a question. I think more like root notes, depends on what chord you're playing over, how you think about it. Lots of things go into this. But anyway, only thing you want to take a note of is like ending on that 16th fret real quick. Sounds more like a question to be answered more than a resolution type phrase. So we have this. Now our semi-resolution. We got this. We're gonna wait till the 4 chord comes and do almost the same thing, except we just change a little bit. And so that's kind of like a call and response, the response part. But we're responding, but we're not totally resolving our question. So to me, this is a cool little study in developing a solo. That's what this is doing over the 5 chord and 4 chord. In the next couple bars, right before we get to the 12 bars where we start our 12 bar solo. And so Peter Green does this kind of stuff a lot, I think. So anyway, we had the first part we went over, then we goes to the 4 chord, we're bending to this. Now pull off 17, 15 on the B, 16 on the G, and doing that same move, vibratoing that 15th fret, that's our root note, and then cutting it off on the 17th fret of the B string this time. To me, it's a great little phrase that we're using to start building the solo, and also using a call and response type method of building this thing, but we're not actually resolving completely our call and response. Kind of an interesting way to go about it. Okay, so that is lick number 1. Okay, lick 2 sounds like this. Okay, so that's lick 2, and it's a really melodic phrase. And to me, this lick is giving our call and response from lick 1 resolution to starting our next 12 bars. Also, it builds the dynamics from transitioning from our 5 chord to this higher dynamic phrasing. So it's a great way to transition. A lot of people get stuck in, how do I transition from low dynamics to high dynamics? This is one example. So for lick 2, we're going to bend this on the 10th count. 17th fret, staying in that BB King position. Now pulling off 17 to 15 on the B. Now we're going back to the root, and we're going to hit this. A lot of times, some of the stuff that builds doesn't have to be like flying up and down the neck. Just playing melodic can go a long way. So hitting 17th fret on the high E. Now 19th fret on the high E. And that's a cool thing to do. That's your 5th interval right here in the key of D. This note right here, the 17th fret of the high E string. You got to realize that is a major 6th interval. It's also just an octave up from that 16th fret here on the G string. You know, this thing we used earlier. Go up an octave. Easy way to learn where different intervals and notes are at all over the place is to use octaves. If you don't know what this is, go down an octave. And we've just been using that. And sometimes that's what I use to find notes and intervals a lot quicker. Always know that if you want an octave below your high E, just move back 3 frets and go up a string on the G string, and that's your octave. Easier way to figure out what intervals and notes you are playing. So anyway, we did this little melody. Back to this. And then we're vibratoing that 15 the whole time. That's our root note. And then now we're going to do this phrase to end this 12 bars. And then start the next 12 bars. So we got bend 17th fret on the B. Now put your pinky underneath on the 17th fret of the high E. And then hit this 14th fret on the G string. And so this note is our A note, and that is when our 5 chord is hitting. If you notice, if you want to take it to the next level, right in this area, we have BB King position. And then we also have a major pentatonic scale right in the same little area. And so that's where that lick comes from. It's kind of a country major blues lick, but played like you were in the key of A. But you can only use that for the most part, you know, when the A chord comes around. Anyway, I talk about more about this in Blues Guitar Method 2, playing to the chord. Okay, so that is lick 2. Okay, lick 3 sounds like this. Okay, so that is lick number 3. What's happening here, we're starting the 12 bar blues over. And so on the 11th and 12th count, I'm going to strike this 15th fret here, kind of like that. I talked about this technique in one of the mannerisms in this course. So if you're not familiar with doing a little kind of a rake on a B string or have issue with it, I go in full detail about how to master that little move. But I'm not just going like that. I'm also kind of adding emphasis, accenting each note like that. So for more information about striking those notes in that manner, please check out that mannerism in this course. So I'm striking this 15th fret of the B string twice on the 11th and 12th count. Now we're starting the 12 bar blues over again and staying in the BB King position, and I'm bending a 17th fret on the high E string, letting it sustain for 3 counts. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to bend it 3 frets up. So that's going to give me the flat 7th interval. On the 4th count, now I'll do this phrase. So on the 4th count, I'm going to do this cool little BB King move that Peter Green uses all the time. Lots of blues players use this. Just taking this interval here, 4th fret, 4th interval, 15th fret on the high E string, bending it slightly. That's just bending to the flat 5, which is the blues scale. So bending that 15th fret is a cool way to get the blues scale in there. So bending 15th fret slightly, pulling it down, 18th fret bend here. Now pull off 17, 15 on the B, 16 on the G. Now vibrato, 15th fret, pretty heavy. And it cut it off again on the 17th fret of the B string. So the first section we have. So we're back to call and response type lick again. And so this is the call when we're not resolving this phrase here. So we're ending on that 17th fret of the B string. And so that gives us kind of a questions type phrase. You can hear it when you hit that 15 and cutting off with the 17. It sounds like we're asking maybe a question. And so now we're going to resolve that in the next lick, which is the continuation of lick 3. We have this.